Hello, it's me, Annalisa, with my spiritual friend, and I'm back for another manifesting chat. It is Thursday, November something. What is it? Oh God, forget it. Who cares? Anyway, I wanted to talk about kind of continue on the whole idea of collective belief systems and is there a better time to manifest than another? According to the law of assumption, there's not. And I'll talk to you about why. So, if we assume, say, like when everybody goes, oh, the new moon is the time to manifest and to bring new things in, it's the best time to write your affirmations. And the full moon is when you let things go. Well, we've created those ideas. Those probably come from, pagan belief systems way, 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 way back when. Hi, urban lady. Um, so those probably come the idea. I'll start over. I should wait and do my spiel about who I am first and then start talking about the idea just to give everybody a couple minutes to get in. Um, so I'm a psychic medium. I am a spiritualist reverend, an ordained spiritualist minister, and I am uh, what am I? A certified seance conductor, a certified energy healer. I used to be a nurse. I'm a mom. I'm a wife. I'm a friend. I'm an all-around spiritual being who has basically been searching for what I believe my entire life. I remember being a little girl and having dreams about standing in front of God and asking what the secret to life was, knowing that there were things out there and understanding that I knew things that were, had dreams about things that were going to happen when I was a little girl, and then they would. And they were always kind of weird things. Hi, Kay. Hi, Urban Lady again. I would have dreams about, conversations, meeting people before I met them. I remember one specifically and trying to explain it like as a little girl sitting on the concrete with two other friends and trying to explain these things happening. And they'd say like deja vu. And I was like, no, like they happened. There is a difference between prophetic dreams and deja vu. And I really love affirmations and manifesting. And I really have grown to learn through my own experiences how much mindset is really everything in creating the world that you want and how we limit ourselves. So I talk about all of this stuff during the week. On the weekends, I stay to doing my readings and showing you that we are all interconnected. But truthfully, manifesting and your spiritual connection are all the same thing. Good morning. Good morning. Were dreams your first start on your mediumship opening? I don't know. I mean, the earliest memory, when I was a little girl, I would have I would like as I was, getting ready for bed and the lights were all out, I would see figures of people in my room. I often saw shadows, like shadow movement out of the corner of my eye. Um, I remember I was really little and my dad gave me, when you're a little girl, sometimes you want to wear your dad's shirt or maybe a little boy too. I don't know. I've never been a little boy, so and only had sisters. But I remember him handing me a shirt and it was a striped shirt. And I said, "This isn't your shirt. Whose is this?" And he said, "Well, it's my dad's." And my grandfather died 2 years before I was born, so I would have never seen him wearing it or known that this was his father's shirt. So I knew it wasn't my dad's shirt. I just didn't know how. I always knew things about people. Um, I could read energies in people, but I didn't know how to interpret it. So Meredith Baxter, who's the mom on Family Ties, if any of you are old enough to have watched that. I remember watching it and thinking there was something different about her energy, but I couldn't put my finger on it. It wasn't bad or good. It was just different. It felt different than like other moms I knew. And then I started to understand, like, I thought, well, I have gaydar. Why do I have gaydar? Because everybody said, well, you only have gaydar if you're gay. And I don't really care who you love. I think if you love somebody and they love you, that's all that matters. But I just knew things were different. So it was just comparison, really, one thing to another. And that's how we humans figure out stuff is comparison. Does this the same, different? What does it feel like? And so then I was reading, I was like, well, she's married, so that's not it. But then years later, I guess she's in a relationship with another woman and came out as being gay. Anyhow, so I had all of these things. It wasn't just mediumship was doing, it was just understanding energy being different and feeling things. I do remember one of my guides saying to me, but I didn't know they were guides, saying that my parents would get divorced soon. And I remember going on a walk with my mom and my grandmother and asking when she and my dad would get divorced. And I must have been about 5 at the time, 'cause my parents were divorced when I was 6. So there were things that I knew. I just didn't, and like my guide saying to me at one point, I was standing outside of my our townhouse that we lived in and we rented, and we lived in a little bit more affluent area, and we were, single mom working all the time. And I remember my guide saying, and they were speaking out when they said they were speaking about other people's parents. They said you don't have to be who they think you're going to be, who they think you are. And I remember hearing that, but again, it didn't freak me out. I didn't know what it was. It was a male voice, and I was just like, okay. Like it didn't feel different because I didn't talk about it enough, so I didn't know that truthfully, like, I think had I talked about it, people would have scared me through, because Texas and Wisconsin, I went to high school and college in Wisconsin, and most of my, formative years in Texas, and that's all the Bible Belt. So I think, and as an adult, when I started saying like, "Oh, I'm kind of exploring this," I had plenty of people who said, "You need to get with the good book. You need to pray about it. Well, pray for your soul." And I'm glad that I was old enough to, it still scared me when people said that, and I still thought, "Wow," it made me feel like I was a bad person. So I'm glad I never talked about it with anybody, because, it would have scared me through it. Hi, Starry Sky. Hi, Nicole. So yeah, I was little when it all kinda came about. And I don't know. I guess I'm grateful for the fact that, like, I was a little bit like, not intentionally, but there was a little neglect going on, and my mom had to work all the time in order to support us. And so, she loved us dearly, obviously, but you have to, latchkey kids were a thing. And we didn't have money for daycare and all of that. And my family didn't live nearby. So there was no like family member that we could hang out with them. So I think that forced me to kind of connect in with my own abilities, just because I was, insulated and alone and sort of trying to figure out the world. So, I mean, I remember like cooking rice as a little girl, and like feeling like there was someone helping me cook, and learning that like on an electric stove, if you to get it to simmer, I was taught basically to like turn off the stove because there was enough heat from the coils to keep the pot hot and keep the rice cooking without it burning on the bottom of the pot. And I got that all in my, from my guides, and they cook with me. My great grandmother will cook with me. I get all kinds of weird things. Um, Anyway, but manifesting is a huge part of that, like understanding how we create our world and create our things. And I think what's really lovely about this, and maybe a lot of people, I've watched other channels. There's a young girl named Hyler who does stuff, and she's really bouncy and bubbly and like talks really fast. Um, and I think it's really awesome that she's there. She's not as in depth maybe as other people who have a little bit more age and experience, but I think it's really awesome that she's on, because she's catching a younger crowd and younger people, like, um, and I think that's fantastic to teach anybody about how powerful their mind is and their mindset is. Um, uh, you always wondered how you learned how to cook and clean. No one taught me, but maybe my guides. I genuinely think that's what happened. So there is somebody. This is kind of going off into another topic, but I kind of like this topic. So there's a gentleman. Sorry, he's not a gentleman. There is a person who's non-binary on Instagram, Jeffrey Marsh, and I absolutely love them. I absolutely think they are sending out so much love and wonderful things into the world. And he talks a lot of, oh, sorry, they talk, please forgive me, I'm working on it. They talk a lot about healing from trauma. And one day they said, "I used to think," and he talks in this really lovely, calming voice. Oh, sorry. They talk in this really lovely, calming voice, um, about how they used to believe they were magical and had magical abilities because they were an empath. But then they realized it was just trauma. And so they were trying to say, like, if you're an empath, it's really just you being trauma. So, like, being hyper alert and hypersensitive and really aware of your surroundings. And I thought, yes, and so not all, and I kind of, I don't really like the word empath because I think it's so limiting. Because I think to, if you open up to the idea of being clairsentient, then you open up to all your other abilities and connections with spirit, clairvoyance, claircognizance, clairaudience. clairaudience, clairgustance, and then your whole world just opens up. It's like, going from 1980s TV, whatever that's called, to, 4K. Um, so, or like maybe saying you're an empath is like 1080, and then if you open everything else up, it's like 4K or 8K. So the clarity is so much better and the experience is so much more rich. So they were saying this, and I thought, yes, and not or this or that. And I think we get too much into this. It's this or it's that. And what if it's this and that? So what if it is that yes, you had a lot of trauma, and yes, it forced you to open up your other senses and be hyper aware of all the little details and all the subtle stuff in life. And then oh, that's funny. I said 1080 in my signal cutlery. One of my kids might be, gaming right now, by the way. I didn't tell him I was going on. I've got 2 kids home, 1 kid's at school. They have 2 my older 2 have the day off. Anyway, and I normally do this and nobody's home, so I don't have to worry about it. I forgot to say something. Anyway, so the idea to me is that if you had a lot of trauma as a child, like myself, maybe you were more open to kind of finding this your safe place, and it was about protecting yourself. And so you have both. You are actually empath, and it may be the result of trauma, but it's also like if somebody loses their sense, if they're born with all of their senses and say they all of a sudden lose their sense of sight, or if you were born blind, right? They say, oh, well, it's not that you have anything different. It's just that you're more attuned to your sense of hearing and your sense of smell because those things needed to be used more as a way to protect yourself and keep yourself safe from in your environment. So I think this and that. So a lot of people who are saying, "Oh, I'm empathic," yes, they might have had a lot of trauma. It's the same thing when light workers are like, "Oh, I had all this trauma and da da da." Now, like a lot of light workers have trauma. Well, I think what happens is you have that, and it opens you up into like your abilities and your connections. That's just my theory. I'm sticking to it. Um, so la la la. What was I going to actually talk about today? What I wanted to talk about is there a great time for manifesting? So this like big thing I've been into that I like to think as empathic. I'd like to think as empathic as into. There's a word missing from that sentence, I think. So I'm trying to like fill in what you meant. I'd like to think as empathic as intuitive. You like to think of empathic as intuitive. So I also think intuitive is a baby step word, right? It's the like this is the safety word. Because if I say I'm psychic, then it means I'm a gypsy and I have all of these crystal balls and rocks and like all of this stuff. The way or a fortune teller. And psychic and intuitive are the same thing, just like I think empath and clairsentient are the same thing. There's the like, this is comfortable, and if I say this, nobody's gonna think I'm crazy. And this is like, I'm fucking owning who I am. Pardon my French, but I'm owning who I am and I'm standing in my power. And if I say that I'm these things, then it opens me up to so much more. That's my own personal interpretation. Take it or leave it. A mí no me importa what you want to call yourself, but that's the way I look at it. Um, so your intuition encompasses all different ways of receiving information. It's like a big, right? Just like your psychic abilities or all of these things. And then you subgroup them, right? Into being empathic, clairsentient, clairvoyant, claircognizant, clairaudient, uh, clairgustance, clairaudience. Maybe missing one or two. So yes. New type and it implies there is no limit to my abilities. That's why you just say I'm psychic, because it's like, so that's like what I was talking about saying when people, I've said this sometime recently, I don't know when people say like, oh, can you talk to animals or I'm like, it's all the same thing. And I teach that in my psychic development circles. Like there is no limit unless you limit yourself. So when I was first studying and reading about stuff, they would say, oh, you have 2 clairs that are going to be your strongest. And then the other ones like you might use. And I was like, F that, I use them all. Like I use them all. And if, however anybody wants to come through is fine with me, or spirit guides, whatever is fine with me. Whatever allows them to get the message across in the clearest, most defined, easiest, quickest way is whatever is fine with me. So I get stuff in all different ways and I'm fine with it. And I get stuff very interestingly and to get a bigger picture, and I'm happy with that and I don't care. Some people aren't comfortable with certain ways, or they think, oh, I don't have this. You can develop it. You can open up through the law of assumption, setting your intentions, growing it. So what was I going to talk about? The best time to manifest. Well, there isn't a best time to manifest. It's because we have created these collective beliefs around the moon being full or being new, around the idea that, you know, the veil is thinner certain times a year, or the veil is thinning. The veil is not this energetic blanket over a whole section of us. The veil is something that exists within in you. So we each have our own veil. It is only your limited belief systems that keep your veil thicker, thinner, closed, open, whatever. That's all that's limiting you, is yourself. What happens is, when you have a collective belief in it, it's raises the vibration a little more. It makes the access a little bit easier, because there's it's like, I think the idea of when churches say, like, you need to have to congregate, you need to have people to hold you accountable. It's because it raises the vibration. South Park made a great episode about this, and think actually it was how we as a society classify things. It was hilarious. We do. How do I, if it's going to manifest itself in divine time? So the idea behind the law of assumption is that if you assume it, it is, and it's done. And so then what's taking time is the stuff that's happening behind the scenes. If you hold the belief that it's a really big thing, then it's going to take a long time, and it's a really big thing. The other idea, I think this is really important to say, because I don't think people really realize it, is there are people who are amazing manifestors, and they manifest like success and fame overnight. And then you'll see a lot of them like lose it quickly. So it's like super easy to manifest, and then they lose it quickly. And why do they lose it quickly? Because it's overwhelming, because they didn't prepare for it. So the people that sort of have that belief system that it takes a little bit longer sort of acclimate to it better. Much like with psychic abilities, I had somebody who's a client talk to me about, she had an experience where all of a sudden, like, there was a murder near her house, and she just started getting all of this information. And she's like, I thought I was losing my mind. And no one, she had talked to a whole bunch of other people about this. And I was like, oh, they were just connecting in with you. And they do that. Oftentimes when spirits pass, they connect in, especially if they were somewhat spiritual, whatever. And you're like this white light that's right near them. And they're like, let me tell you what's going on. I got to share with you. This happened. Da, da, da. It can be very overwhelming if you all of a sudden step into it, and you might feel like you're losing your mind. If I had the abilities I have now, 13 years ago, 20 years ago, I probably would have been overwhelmed. I think I had the access to them. I just think I was easing into them and doing it in a way that was safe, and so that I can help others, right? Because what good am I if I'm like a total basket case and a nut case about them? So my point is it's going to manifest. If you're worrying about it, if you're anxious about it, you haven't let it go. If you're worrying about it, if you're anxious about it, you're doubting it. If you're constantly wondering where it is, you're doubting the ability, and you sort of like push it. It's there. You're just keep pushing it out and pushing it out, pushing it out. So it's sort of like you have to get to the point where you're like, okay, this has happened. It's done. I've got it. I'm not going to worry about when it's going to show up. I'm going to take the steps towards or I'm going to connect in with my intuition and take the steps that I need to do it. I have created something. I'm going to get it up on my website by Sunday, Monday, and I'm going to tell you about it later. I don't want to jinx it yet, but I'm almost on the top, like have it totally completed. On Monday, when I go on my friend's show, I'll talk about it and sort of like be the like, hey, it's up. You can purchase it, but it's a way of manifesting in a very practical, organized way to help you understand that like manifesting isn't just like sitting here going, it's going to happen and I'm never leaving my apartment and the man is coming to me. And like, you have to go out and live your life and be active. And then as you take those steps intuitively, help you build. Sarah Blakely, who developed Thanks, is a perfect example of this. She was taught law of attraction by her father in high school. And she said she would drive around in her car and listen to these law of attraction tapes. And her friends would be like, oh my God, we can't ride with her, because she listened to these all the time. And I guess once she had graduated college and got out in the working world, she wrote down on a piece of paper, I'm okay, universe, I want to create a product that I could sell to millions of people. And then she like said she put it away in 2 years for 2 years, didn't think about it, didn't even whatever. And then was getting ready to go do something and needed some kind of footless pantyhose or whatever. So she had smooth under her pants, blah, 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 and came up with the idea for Spanx. It didn't mean like the whole finished product showed up on her doorstep and she was like, okay, I'm ready to sell. Like she had to go through the production process, but the intuition and the idea came. So understand that there's steps to get things to manifest. Same thing with like somebody like Tesla developing the electric cars and stuff. They didn't just like, okay, here's the production line. They had to go through, here's my idea. Who do I talk to get to develop it? Like there's all these things that happen. So divine time, yeah, because like the more steps that have to be taken, like it's just not going to drop on your doorstep. If it's like a free cup of coffee, that's why people tell you to manifest those things so you can see that this works. Here's a quickie. But like for the other stuff, you just sort of have to go, it's coming, it's mine, it's done. Like I'm not worried about it. Like all of this stuff in time. When I graduated from nursing school, I wanted to be the 20-year nurse on day one. Like that doesn't happen. How do you get to be the 20-year nurse? It's not just about the days you put in, it's about the wisdom you gain from the experiences. So that does take time and experience. And we do live in a plane of existence that has this sort of idea of time, even though time doesn't truly exist, right? What does it mean when I want something to manifest itself? Something like it happens not exactly the same thing I want. Can you give me exact? Give me the exact example. You're you're on here and whatever. Nobody knows your name. So everything you're saying is exactly how I feel about manifestation. Way cool. Way cool. See, so like there's the other thing about it is you start to attract with people that are vibrationally the same. You start to the things that you want to find out. I know I think about things like where I'm like, oh, I want to learn about what was I wanting to learn about the other day? And it like literally just popped up. Putting a course online because I want to put that goes along with my product, practical manifesting type course online. That's, just a quick little workshop type thing. But I was like, when should I schedule it? And then I'm like, okay, I just need to put something and record it and figure out how to do that. I was getting overwhelmed researching. I was like, I just need to figure this out, make it easier for me. And then a woman I know who's a lovely, lovely tarot reader. She's active on Instagram, Tarot Lori. I should link her here because she's so fantastic. She's in this women's empowerment drum circle with me, and I just adore her. I think she has fantastic energy. And she happened to somebody happened to say something about buying her tarot course, and I went and clicked on. I was like, oh my god, that's exactly what I want to do. Not the tarot course, but so I just messaged her quick, and it was like such a relief to go, oh, this is so much easier. I'm making it so much more complicated. So the universe will send you the stuff in different ways and you don't expect it. It just happens. It just happens. Literally, you can just think, I just want to learn this. And then stuff starts to pop up for you. The right people that you connect with. That's why I say, I don't mind talking about other people's channels and other people I've watched, not because it doesn't take away from me to say, maybe you connect better with this person. If you're going to learn it, I want you to learn it. If I really believe in this, I'm not going to say this is the best way, because maybe you'll learn something from that person. Anybody can teach you something, and it's okay to take your ego out of what you're doing and recognize there is no such thing. Thank you, KK. Like and subscribe. There is no such thing as competition. Okay, what does it mean when I'm trying to read this again. When I want to manifest something to manifest itself, something like it happens, not exactly the same thing I want. I don't understand that question. Would you mind clarifying it? Because yes, I'm psychic, but I also was a nurse and I really I don't know, clarity checking, rechecking. I annoyed people on the PTA page because I was like, I'm not seeing this. Can you be really specific for me? They were annoyed with me, but I was like, this is I want to make sure. Are we supposed to sign up? Do we have to volunteer if we sign up? I just want to know. I want clarity. I like clear. Okay. I want to manifest a new phone, for example, an iPhone 13, but I manifested another phone. And every time it happens to me, especially when I want to manifest the product. Okay. So first of all, you're creating that now, just by saying that every time I want to manifest this, I manifest something else. So when you manifest the something else, maybe instead of going, I screwed it up again, this is always happens. So then you just create that pipeline of energy of still manifesting it. Decide that, like, uh, oh, look at this is the thing behind the 3D. This is like the in between stage. I'm on my way to it. It's here. It's done. I'm not worried about it. This is just like the to tide me over. You can throw any little story you want to it, but stop saying this always happens because then it will always happen. So that sometimes they call that the birds before land, right? So if you're manifesting, say, like your SP back or something like that, and their name is John, and then like another X named John comes in, it's not because, oh my God, I thought of the wrong person. The universe, like, look, I ask for when I do readings, all I ask for is a first name. Like, what's their first name when I'm connecting in with spirit? I don't need their birth date. And when I do your thing, I don't need all of your personal information when you ask a question. Why? Because the universe knows exactly who to let me know and to connect me in with. I just like a first name because it makes me feel like whatever. But I don't really care. Like, because spirit will come through whenever. You don't really need all the details. So I think some of that is you saying it always is, and so it always is. And some of it is the birds before land, not realizing that was birds before land, and then it is always is, and then it sort of created and like snowballed on itself. So decide, oh, that's nice, but that's not exactly, and I'm going to get the 13, and this is what's happening, and I'm not worried about it. The other question I have for you is, does it matter? Like, there's some things I want to manifest, and I'm like, it's not exactly it, but it's fine. It's good enough. Like, I'm whatever. There's other things where I'm like, nope, it's going to be this way, and so I'm going to wait. I'm going to be patient, and maybe I see certain things showing up, but it's not exactly what it's like. Those are nice, and I appreciate them, but this is still coming, and so that's just part of the bridge of incidents. Hi, Devry, welcome. It's sort of like manifesting is sort of like mind trickery, right? So if we've been tricking our minds for a long time, sorry, I just squished my nose. If we've been tricking our minds for a long time to think all the negative stuff, why not trick our minds for a long time to think the positive stuff? And there is no perfect time for manifesting. The thing is, why those times seem easier and better is because there's a collective belief system around it. It's like the idea of, and I know this is maybe not somewhere somebody wants to go, but the idea of racism is complete collective belief system that's interwoven and threaded through different ideas of, if you like, there's a great 13th or 13th on Netflix is a really good documentary that kind of explains it. And then there's, if you watch, I think it's called Black Noir, and it's a history of Black horror films, and kind of talking about, again, the same sort of thing, how it's interwoven. And so there's a collective belief about somebody being lesser than for the color of their skin, or scary or bad, that's been interwoven. And all we really need to do is decide that that's not it anymore and change the belief. Horror noir, yes, Urban Lady. It's a really fantastic documentary. And if you don't like me, I'm not a Black person, right? So I didn't really think about that kind of stuff. And so if you don't see it, it's very very eye opening. It's very very eye opening how racism, a collective belief, and I'm not saying it's a positive belief, I'm saying it's a collective belief, gets interwoven. The other idea is a collective belief of Satan. There's this evil thing outside of you that's going to hurt you, and if you don't do everything I say you have to do, then you're evil and bad too. I saw like a funny like thing, and the guy was just like talking about, I don't know, some bathtub thoughts. Didn't even know who he was. It was like, people take TikTok clips and then switch them over to Instagram, and it was like, isn't the devil good if he's punishing bad people? Like, I don't know. So there isn't a best time, but what I want to do is, and I made another, so I like to go in the community stuff and kind of add little ideas and thoughts and activities and exercises just because I can. And if you want to participate, it's great. So the other day I posted something about the fall being about letting go of the things. That's the time of year when you look at this season. It's about letting go of the things that no longer serve you, letting go of like the clutter, whether it's the physical clutter in your house. Like I think, we talk about spring cleaning, but I think fall is a fantastic time to do that too, to like let go of the clutter and get rid of, everything. And then winter becomes the time where we create our new affirmations and our new beliefs and bring in the things that we want to, that will um, serve our highest good, et cetera, et cetera. And that's where it's sort of like in its incubation period, right? And the spring is where it starts to show itself. So, what I wanted to do is, so I posted this and what are you letting go of, and had everybody post, well, not everybody, whoever wanted to posted something. And then I posted today, like, what do you want to draw on? What affirmations you want to draw on? Because there's a new moon today. So I was going to go, I'll probably film it instead of doing it live and upload it. And burning, and I'll do your affirmations for you guys and burn them in I bought a little mini cauldron. It's something I started, I was using a metal mixing bowl. Like it's really hot. And then I was like, well, maybe I shouldn't be burning stuff in here and then using it to bake. I cleaned it first, don't worry. So I bought a tiny little cauldron, and it's something I was doing in my women's empowerment circle. She would have us do like for the full moon. So I thought I'd like to do these for my viewers because some of you live in apartments and it's not great for you. So we can manifest for each other. It's the same idea when someone goes, pray for me, we send energy. And I'm thinking, you can send the energy yourself. I believe there's something special about what I'm doing, right? Any questions, comments, curiosities? I like to do these live because I like the interaction. I like talking back and forth. And plus, like when you record videos, it's like take after take after take. And like, if it's live, you just take me as you get me, right? Just waiting to see if anybody types. So, oh, Diwali is right. Oh, that, what's funny, as I was reading about Diwali or Diwali, um, like right maybe 30 minutes before I came on here. And it's really interesting too. It's the celebration of and correct me if I'm wrong, KK, because you would know better than I do, but the celebration of light overcoming dark. And that's sort of what manifesting, when you start to wake up to what manifesting is, the light being the positive and moving your life in a positive direction and in a way that you want versus being a victim and unempowered. Celebrate. Yep. Okay. And then same token, a lot of people, or Neville Goddard even says this, he talks about, there is no such thing as Satan or something outside of your evil. The evil is the negative thoughts that you have, the thoughts that you're unintentionally creating. And then, I saw something else and I thought this was interesting. So look for manifesting in interesting ways. Pay attention to what you're watching. So my daughter was watching this morning. She likes to watch those baking contests. And this one, I don't know, something on Netflix. So I don't even know what show it was, but I'm fine because then it's not like like all those weird voices. And the contest was to create a gown or a dress out of candy, food type stuff. So they were, chocolate and gelatin and all these different things. And they were really cool. But if you watch the contestants, it's almost like I was like, oh my God, they already manifested who would win and lose. So one group, I heard one guy and the woman, it was a woman and a man, a younger gentleman, and the woman had blonde hair. And I'm saying it to differentiate. So the blonde haired woman and the younger gentleman. And she's like, get to work. Like she was really, and he's like, I'm sorry, I just don't want to screw it all up. So he's already in this fear stage that he's going to mess it all up. And then there's another group set of people. They aren't couples, but I'm calling them couples, but they're not actually couples. And the woman was like, can you imagine what it'll be like if we win? And he's like, yeah. manifesting 101. So who won? The woman who goes, can you imagine what it would be like if we won? And he's like, yeah. And the other guy, they got kicked off the show, who was like, I just don't want to screw it all up. Manifesting right in front of your face. You can watch how it happens. It's that easy. So look around you and just be the observer and understand that it really does work and it really does happen. I think I'll leave you with that because this is 35 minutes and that's pretty long. And I want to keep these a little shorter so they're easier to watch back. But thank you all for joining me. This is like, I love talking about all this stuff. I love sharing. I do have private readings if you are interested in a private reading. I just started a psychic development circle. It'll go for 6 weeks. I'll open up another one. I may wait till after the whole holiday season because everybody's got stuff going on. We'll see. And I'm going to be coming up with a new product, and I didn't get the description in the box below, but on Monday, I'm going to be on my friend Tony's podcast. It's at 9:30 p.m. on Spreaker.com. It is called Cosmic Tuesdays, but it's on Monday. And it's with Anthony Picco. He's been a professional astrologer for over 30 years. I have known him for, 13 years now, almost 14 years. And he's fantastic. I adore him and I love chatting with him. We're going to talk about manifesting miracles and intuition. And I'll kind of talk about my new product that I'm going to be selling. And I never thought I would sell a product, but it's super practical and I love practical stuff. And I hope you love it too. So yeah, private readings, all of that stuff. And then check me out tomorrow. I'll come in and talk about manifesting again. And then Sunday we'll do more readings. We'll go back to the regular reading where we do donations. So I love y'all. Thank you so much for the support. Happy Diwali. Diwali. I've seen it a couple different ways. And just let me know. Go to my community page. Let me know what affirmation you want me to send out there for you. Or if you want to let something go, there's 2 different posts. Let me know. I'll write them all up. I've got little pieces of paper. I'll write them all up. And I don't have my tiny cauldron, but I'll burn them on a tiny cauldron and we'll just have some fun and I'll help you out. So KK said, have lots of lamps, food, and sweets, and have fun. Okay. So thank you guys so much for joining me. Thanks for all the support. I'll talk to you soon.